They announced a profit of 900 million euros for '08, down 31% from the previous year, but it still is a profit. The CEO of Allianz Global Investors, Mr. Joachim Faber, said that the group could be a buyer as consolidation in the industry accelerates. Faber said, we'll participate in the consolidation of the industry, but we're not out there actively pursuing acquisitions. The CEO of the group, Michael Dykman, said this morning that the company's $2.5 billion investment by buying a 23.7% stake in Hartford Financial Services Group last year was a good one. He said, we see good upside for our investment. He said the timing of the investment does not look good now, but he noted that the entire U.S. insurance market is getting repositioned and that the market capitalization lost by large U.S. players leaves a lot of opportunities for those who survived. He said Hartford is one of the very strong operators. Hartford stock price has fallen 84% since last April, so the Allianz investment has gone from $2.5 billion, which I think is a misprint. I think it's significantly more than that. I think it's $25 billion, but we'll go with $2.5 billion. That investment is now valued at under $500 million. Hopefully that Allianz is not planning on making any more investments like that. And some news that was reported yesterday that's probably not unexpected. XL Capital's chairman Brian O'Hara will not stand for re-election to the company's board of directors at the company's next month's annual general meeting. The announcement marks the end of a 23-year association between XL and Mr. O'Hara, who was the company's first employee. O'Hara is from Bermuda. He has served as XL's CEO for 13 years. He made way from Mike McGavick in May of last year. He oversaw the growth of XL into a major global player with operations in 27 countries. Of course, over the past year, XL has been hit hard by investment losses, as well as its ownership stake in Syncora Holdings, the monoline bond insurer that XL co-founded. We wish Mr. O'Hara the best. He's a true gentleman, and he is a true pioneer of the reinsurance industry and is as responsible as anyone for what's been going on down in Bermuda for the past 20 years. It's been a bad luck of the draw for him, but when they started Syncora, they were hailed as geniuses. So we wish him well. Some other news, Lehman is still causing problems, even though they are long dead. Long is measured from September. A second cat bond is seen close to default as fallout from the collapse of Lehman continues to buffet the market again. This is a market that was once regarded as invulnerable to credit risk. Standard & Poor's said that it expects Ajax Re to default on a March 16th interest payment of $100 million, a two-year bond issued in April of '07. The deal covers Bermuda-based sponsor Aspen Insurance Holding against losses from earthquakes in California. S&P said we placed the rating on credit watch negative because the issuer has notified us that it will not have sufficient funds available in the collateral payment account to make the scheduled interest payment. The transaction is among 4 cat bonds guaranteed by a unit of Lehman that was downgraded following the U.S. Investment Bank's bankruptcy filing in September. Ajax used a unit of Lehman Brothers as a total return swap counterparty and contracted to ensure the collateral backing that the bonds were sufficient to meet interest and principal repayments. And when the bank collapsed, investors were left with direct exposure to market losses on assets held as collateral. And there were no assets there. Stock market is down about 30 points now. Wells Fargo has cut their dividend 85% down to 5 cents a share. There's a rogue trading probe going on in London now. They've actually named a name. I'm not going to give it to you. Somebody apparently being accused of diverting $125 million of Merrill funds into his own account. But you can find that by just Googling it. We'll go to a word from our sponsors and come back with the rest of the news. Australia's second largest city of Melbourne was shaken by an earthquake this morning. Authorities say there were no immediate reports of damage or casualties. The USGS initially said the quake was a 4.7. It's now been upgraded to a 5.1. Struck a little bit near Melbourne about 9 p.m. local time, or 1 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time. Residents reported buildings shaking across the metropolitan area. Meanwhile, further to the west, the tallest volcano on Java Island in Indonesia erupted this morning. This would be 12,277-foot Mount Semeru, shown here in more tranquil times. It burst into life shortly after midnight. It posed no danger, apparently. Fortunately, they're having heavy rain in the area, so that's tamping down the ash for respiratory concerns. And the authorities say that they have not yet issued an evacuation order, but they're monitoring the eruption closely for signs of lethal heat clouds. Speaking of lethal heat clouds, here's a picture. The air in Bulgaria is the most polluted in the whole of the European Union, according to the Ministry of Environment and Water. This is in a news report published today in Sofia, the capital. Dust levels are persistently around 55 micrograms a cubic meter. The average for the rest of Europe is 30 milligrams. Bulgarian air ranks as the most polluted in the EU. The high level of pollution is apparently due to the large number of old vehicles in Bulgaria without catalytic converters, as well as a complete lack of restrictions imposed on second-hand cars imported from Western Europe. Also, there's quite a proliferation of coal-fired heating. The big winner is the western town of Pernik, home to a number of metallurgy plants. It's Bulgaria's most polluted town. They're up to 92 micrograms a cubic meter. That's 3 times the normal level in Europe. It's a big problem. Now to our final story. We haven't talked about North Korea in a while, but we couldn't miss this one. South Korean airlines are rerouting their flights away from North Korea airspace. This is happening after the North has threatened passenger planes. This is amid tensions that have only increased on the divided peninsula. The move comes after Pyongyang warned in state-run media that it cannot guarantee security for South Korean planes flying over the airspace. Of course, North Korea is controlled by that man. Can we bring him up again? This is Kim Il-jong, the dear leader of North Korea. South Korea is justifiably upset. They're saying that the northern military threat against civil airplanes' normal flight path is a violation of international norms and an inhumane act that cannot be justified. The South Koreans believe that the notice may be intended to clear the airspace over North Korea before a possible missile launch, but they declined to elaborate. So as a result, Korean Air and Asiana Airlines, South Korea's biggest airline and the world's biggest international cargo carrier, say that they will have to reroute their flights to avoid flying over North Korean airspace. You might be surprised, but in fact, there's quite a bit of traffic that runs over North Korea-controlled airspace. Most of the flights that come from